I'm Marcia Hutchens, and I'm a travel agent with Coasters and Castles Travel. My family and I recently went on a 7-day Disney Alaskan cruise. And before our cruise, we spent a day traveling around Vancouver, Canada. And this video shows what we did during that day in Vancouver. Now, since we were a group of 10, we did split up at times and go and explore different parts of the area. So you will get to see and hear in this video many of my other family members' commentary. Enjoy. We're here at the train station. Our train leaves at 8:30. It is currently 7:59, so I wanted to give an idea of how crowded it is right now. So that over there is the line of people that are going to wait to board with coach. Everybody else kind of just sitting around. But it's pretty full. And they actually made an announcement about 7:50 a.m. that they were no longer going to be checking any bags on the train. If you had a bag and you didn't get it checked before 7:50 a.m., you are responsible for carrying it that whole time. So we got here about 7 a.m. and got our bags all checked, so we were good to go. This part of our trip started in Seattle, where we had been for a few days, and we took the Amtrak train from Seattle to Vancouver. And the clip you saw before was from the morning that we left from Seattle to travel to Vancouver. So here we are leaving the train station. The train made stops every so often at different cities, and Vancouver was the last stop. Now, the stops weren't long enough to get out and go searching around. It was just maybe a few minutes. But the total length of the ride was 4 hours for those of us going all the way from Seattle to Vancouver. We passed so many beautiful areas during our ride. It was really enjoyable. I'm not sure if it was the train ride or how tired I was from the trip so far, but I found it was so peaceful, and I slept for, I think it was about the first 2 hours of that train ride. The rest of my family either were playing card games or going to the dining car. I will say the Wi-Fi was not that great, so I wouldn't rely on that as something to keep you busy while you're on this train ride. But they did have food for purchase on the train: sodas, juices, chips, cookies, hot dogs, little mini pizzas. And so here you can see my daughter and my nephew opted for the macaroni and cheese, and they seemed to enjoy it, didn't make any complaints. Once we arrived, we did have to go through customs, but it was a pretty quick process. And then we took a short walk across the street to the Expo SkyTrain and took the line that took us down to the waterfront station, which brought us right in front of the Pan Pacific Hotel. Now, we were a group of 10 people navigating 17 pieces of luggage, and let me tell you, that SkyTrain unloads, loads, and moves quickly. So if you plan on taking this as a mode of transportation, then you have to be ready to jump on with your rolling luggage. And my advice is, if you have luggage, find a seat, because that train has some get up and go. And it was startling to all of us that were standing just nonchalantly holding onto a bar thinking we'd be fine. So here we are arriving at Canada Place. And like I said, the SkyTrain stopped there at the waterfront. So it was a very short walk to the Pan Pacific Hotel. Imagine the Pan Pacific Hotel is located in the middle of 2 docks, so there were ships on either side of the hotel both days that we were there. So here we are at the check-in of Pan Pacific. This is the lobby level. The one thing about the Pan Pacific is they do, because they're right here at the port, they will take your luggage for you from your room to your cruise ship on your cruise day here in Vancouver. So you can see there's a ship right out here waiting to go. When we walked in, there were a lot of friendly workers who were just asking, are you on the cruise? Are you on the cruise? And they were helping give directions on where to go. So you can already see some people on the cruise ship kind of exploring. It's a very beautiful lobby. Looks like a restaurant here. Ocean's 99. Little bar area. Be prepared when you have a lot of luggage. There's a lot of escalators, and so if you have trouble maneuvering escalators and luggage, you're gonna learn to master it by the time you get up here. They do have elevators too, but the escalators are just a lot easier and faster to find. So here we are at the Pan Pacific, and It is drizzly, a little chilly outside, but you know kids, they'll go swimming in any weather. But Evan, how's the water?
Great.
Great. Is it cold?
No.
It's actually warm.
Yeah.
We did check it, had an adult check it. Nana said that the water was warm. It was actually pretty pleasant. And then they even have a little hot tub here, has some people in it. So, but it is drizzling right now. So, and you can see Evan's down at the deep end of the pool, and he's still able to touch. He's 8, so he's not that tall. So it's not a very deep pool, which is nice.
Kind of.
Okay.
Kind of, push it.
And then if you walk, they have like a little Sunday area. It's nice because they have this rubber mat all around the edge of the pool. Since it is rainy, it is kind of slippery. Then down here they have this sun deck area. And then you can see out onto the port. Where we were staying there at the Pan Pacific Hotel, you had a great view of all of the seaplanes that were taking off and landing. And it was just constant, the number of these little planes that were going in and out at the same time, and kind of trying to just see how they coordinated it. There was a tiny little Chevron gas station in the middle of the water that you could also see the seaplanes going up to and trying to fill up their tanks before they took off again. So this is something that was really quite interesting. A lot of us adults just enjoyed watching the planes coming and going during our time out there on the deck this day. Since it was kind of rainy, a lot of us weren't really into getting into the pool with the kids. So as I've said before, we are a large group, and we are used to splitting up to make sure that everyone's able to go and do exactly what you want to do while you're on your vacation. And so while some of us were there at the pool deck enjoying the beautiful rainy day, others went around exploring around Canada Place. And this was the dock area around the Pan Pacific Hotel where a lot of the ships would dock. You can see at this time of the evening, the ships had already left for the day, so it was empty, and you could really get a good view of where the ships were going to come in at. But there was also, in that area, lots of places to shop, some places to eat. So it was kind of, everything was nearby that you needed. You didn't have to travel too far to get where you wanted to go. So it was really just cool kind of seeing everything in that area. This was the drop. It was a sculpture that was in that area, and it is exactly what it says. It looked like a giant water drop. They also had this large sculpture of a whale. It almost looked like really large Lego pieces. Later that evening, we walked just a few short blocks down the street to where we were going to go to dinner, which was called Steamworks. And one thing I will say about Vancouver is I felt like almost any street we turned on, there was some kind of a street performer, whether they were doing something like that gentleman, or they had just music they were playing, if they were playing a guitar, or had some kind of audio mixer that they were playing music with. So there's always some kind of entertainment around for you to enjoy. And then here we are walking up towards the Steamworks. It was located right next to the train station as well. So it was all in that central area, very close by. And so this is where we were able to enjoy dinner that evening. Here we are outside of the Pan Pacific Hotel. It's like a little courtyard area. Got some music playing out here. Just another beautiful view of the port. So the next morning we walked over to Tim Hortons to enjoy our breakfast, and then we were getting on the hop-on, hop-off bus tours. And our first stop of the day was at Stanley Park because there was a lot of different things to do. And again, we all kind of split up and went our own different ways. And here I want you to enjoy a little greeting for the morning from my brother-in-law, Mark.
Welcome to Stanley Park here in Vancouver, British Columbia. It's a beautiful day, beautiful. It's about 9:15 in the morning, and it's a nice, cool, probably 60 degrees, something like that. Oh, it's beautiful. Come along with us, shall you?
Wonderful, Mark. Thank you. So that part of the group decided to explore Stanley Park, and they had a lot of different walking trails, and you could follow the maps to see all the different sites and things to do. And so you'll hear a lot of commentary from other parts of my family members because I was not in this group, but a lot of different things that they saw and experienced as they walked around. So I hope you enjoy just looking at some of these images.
Hello, Nana.
Hello. Well, obviously, here at Stanley Park, the thing to do is get and rent a bicycle. And bicycle. You had to get off and stop.
I know,
for that.
but I'm just saying that
Everyone is renting bicycles.
Yep.
And so here in part of the park, they had a gift shop, they had some public restrooms, and then these totem poles, which you could walk around and view, and they had little placards that you could read about the different styles and what they were and what they represented. So this was another beautiful area to explore around Stanley Park that group got to experience. And here that part of the group started closing in on Lighthouse Point, and then they were able to really see some great views of the area, and I could actually see across to where our hotel was if you were in the right line of sight. And so here's my crew. Notice it did involve the younger kids, and we went and explored the Vancouver Aquarium. So here we are at the Vancouver Aquarium. This is when you immediately walk in, so you see they have an area of the tropics, Pacific Canada, and they have an area behind the globe that takes you outside, and then you go downstairs. So we're gonna go explore some. It's a reef shark. Now we're in the Pacific Canada section. They have this large open tank area. We have found, it's hard to see, Clownfish Cove in the aquarium. There were so many different areas to this aquarium. I didn't include pictures or videos of all of them, but we did move to the outside area, which I really enjoyed because it was very large. It had a lot of different places. The sea lions were out there, also the otters, and so we walked around through the different exhibits. Throughout the entire aquarium, they had these little carts, and it was inside, outside, upstairs, downstairs, and they were all very interactive. So that one that you just saw, they had skeletons of the different animals that you could go touch, and it was very similar to that at all the other places as well. And my kids really loved looking at the otters. They had an area where you could go underneath and see them, and then also above. So they really enjoyed the aquarium. We have an aquarium in the city that we live, but they enjoyed that one just as much. When we were done in that Stanley Park area, we got back on the hop-on, hop-off bus tour. And the drivers of these buses, and we were on a couple of different ones because we'd catch a different one at each stop, they were so knowledgeable about the history, the different environment, the landscape, and so just enjoy some of the commentary that we did here on this part of our ride.
They will get there. Now take a look here in front of me, folks. This is called the Lost Lagoon. Right here in front of us, called the Lost Lagoon. And I called Stanley Park and they said, listen, I found it. And they said, you found what? I said, I found the Lost Lagoon. It's right here. I don't know why you lost it. It's like literally right here, but I found it for you. Anyways, apparently they didn't like my humor because they hung up on me.
The next place we hopped off at was this Granville Island. And imagine they're just going to drop you off on the outside of this big bridge and you walk across, and it's this large area next to this body of water. There's tons of boats, tons of places to eat. It's an open air market where they have food for sale, craft items. There's a large children's toy store that has like a little ride, a bumper car ride inside of it. Almost anything you can imagine that you would want in this area. So this is a great place to explore.
We're here at the Lobster Man. You have lobster rolls, crab rolls, shrimp rolls. Look at here. Some clams, oysters. Very nice establishment.
When we were done at Granville Island, we hopped back on the bus and we made our way over to Gastown Square. And this is where we ended our evening. And we waited for this steam clock. So there's some of the placards that you can read about kind of the history of it and what it was going to do. It did draw a large crowd of people who were just standing around waiting for it to go off at the appropriate time. And everyone has their phones or cameras up just waiting for that specific moment when it would start. So I have a video of it for you to enjoy. And just down the street from Gastown Square was the old spaghetti factory where we had our dinner, our last dinner before we got on the cruise. And everyone really enjoyed it. There was a good variety of food to pick from. You can see Evan was loving his soup.
Some fettuccine, some lasagna.
Evan with the chicken tenders.
Oh, Evan got chicken tenders.
Wasn't you this time?
No. Chicken parm. Yeah, we're having that for Palo. Alrighty. Spaghetti, very good. Let's dig in. And for dessert, we have some vanilla ice cream and some ice cream that has chocolate, vanilla, and pistachio all around there.
So after dinner that evening, we walked back to the hotel. This was about a 10-12 minute walk back to the Pan Pacific. And you can see in this part of the street in Gastown Square, they had the street blocked off. And so there were a lot of places with those large benches that people were sitting at, some patioed areas for the restaurants that were nearby. And then as we got further up the street, again, as I had mentioned before in the video, there was another street performer. And so just another cool evening outside where you could sit and enjoy some of the local artistry. I hope you enjoyed this video of our day in Vancouver. We went to bed that night and then the next day boarded the Disney Wonder for our Alaskan cruise. Stay tuned and subscribe for more videos on our Alaska trip adventures.